Good morning, grade 8s. Mrs. Boyens here. We're going to discuss the topic of source documents via the Zoom app. This is the first time I'm using it, so please bear with me. It's also quite new for me, but we're going to try our best. If you're using the Oxford Successful EMS grade 8 textbook, this will be unit 5, starting on page 45. But as with my grade 9 lessons, you can literally use it with any textbook because we are covering the basic concepts and principles. So hopefully this will be helpful and useful for other learners as well. All right, so in this unit, we're going to look at the importance of source documents in the business environment. Now, you know that in EMS, we said we want to start a business. Why do we want to open a business? Obviously, because we want to make profit. As the owner, you are putting in a lot of effort and time, taking risks. Why? Because you want to make profit at the end of the financial year. Now, in order for you to firstly have control and secondly know exactly what is happening in your business, we need to record each and every single transaction that takes place in the business. And in order for us to record those transactions, we need to make use of documents. Now we call the documents in the business that we use to record those transactions source documents, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on as well. Now there is quite a number of documents that we use in the business for different purposes and reasons, and I'm going to walk you through them. With this presentation that I will load onto YouTube, I will also attach or give you the link of the worksheet. So what you will see on the PowerPoint presentation is basically the documents that I've copied so that you can see how we fill them in, but then you will also have a worksheet where you can go and practice to complete those documents on your own. All right, so now the first one that we're going to look at is a receipt. Now, when would we use a receipt in the business environment? That is any time that in our business, and remember we always look at any transaction that takes place from the business's point of view. Hopefully you can remember that from term 1 early in the year. So whenever money is received in our store, we can issue a receipt as proof that that money has been received. Now, many times people start a business and they start out very small and they don't even have a till or a cash register. So any money that they receive, they can literally write out a receipt for each and every of those transactions. All right, now firstly you need to keep in mind that, or try and picture a receipt book. Now look, once again, these things are quite manually that we're going to look at in this unit. Many of these things nowadays are digitalized, computerized, it's printed out via a small receipt printer, for example, but you can still also do it manually. So if we have a receipt book, one that you would perhaps buy from P&A or C&A, you will see that the receipt books are usually printed in duplicate. So that means you will have two of the same receipt. So here on the screen where you see number 001, there will be another receipt in the receipt book that's also numbered 001. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but in some of the receipt books we get a little paper that's called a carbon paper, and that you put in between the top receipt and the bottom one, and that is to make sure that all the information that you write at the top receipt gets copied onto the bottom one. Now, we call that top receipt in the receipt book the original receipt, and the bottom one we call the duplicate receipt. Now, in the business environment, if we have a business and a client comes in and gives us money and we write out a receipt, we will always give the client the original one, the top one, and the business will keep the duplicate one. So a receipt, when it's used as a document or a source document in our business to record transactions, our source document will be a duplicate receipt. Okay, so if you look at the notes that's attached for this presentation, the first one we're going to look at is then the following transaction. It says, as the bookkeeper of Blessing Electricians, issue a receipt for the following. On the 1st of March 2020 to Endlamini for services rendered. So obviously somebody called them out. Endlamini called this Blessing electricians out to fix something at his house. So now, and after the service has been rendered, money has been received, and now we need to issue a receipt. So let's see if I can show you how to do this now here with Zoom. Let me just see. Where is my textbook? Text box. Okay, so let's try this. So it says, when did this transaction take place? On the 1st of March 2020. So the first thing that we can fill in is the date. So I don't know why doesn't that work. Let's try the black one there. The 1st of the 3rd, and then 20. Let's see if I can get that right, 2020, something like that. So you fill in the date. Okay, from whom did we receive this money? The information was given to us. We received it from Endlamini, right? And the amount of, I'm somehow going to copy so that we can save a bit of time. What was the amount? It was 550 rand. 550 rand. No cents. So we can just write there and no cents. Right, and then we need to write down why did we receive that money. Now that is very important when later on we're going to complete our journals, that we know why this receipt was issued. Why did we receive this money? And that was for services rendered. Right, and then here on this line where it says with thanks, you have to sign, because in the instruction it said as the bookkeeper of Blessings Electricians. So you will do your signature there. Let's see if I can find something that looks more like a signature. There you go. So you will have to sign there your name, and then we need to also, there where we have the rand and the cent column, we also need to write the amount down. And that, people, is just to make sure that obviously everything is true and correct, and to eliminate the opportunity for people to commit fraud. So you can write it in something like that, 550, or draw a dash. Okay, so that is then how we complete a receipt. Very important, make sure that the date is correct and all the other information is there, because you are going to use this receipt, the duplicate receipt, when you record these transactions in the books of the business. Okay, if you go on with your notes, you will see that the next activity is activity 2, where once again you will be the bookkeeper, and there are 4 receipts for Pooch Perfect that you must go and complete. So you can then practice the completion of receipts in your own time. Then we're going to look at another document, the source document that we will find in the business environment, and this is a cash register slip or a till slip, that if your business has a till, make use of cash registers or tills, then when transactions take place and people pay us cash, we will, or the till will print this till slip. Obviously the customer will get a copy, and then we talk about the cash register roll. That is the part that stays inside the till that we then later on once again use to record transactions in our journals, more specifically our cash receipts journal. I'm just going to point out a couple of things here. First of all, you can see that here at the bottom over here, that would normally be the till slip number. Now, each and every slip will have its own original and unique number. That is important for obviously recording purposes. And then here at the bottom, you can also see this transaction or this slip was printed on the 15th of March 2020, more or less 12:30 in the afternoon. Then we can have a look at, if we go to the top, the total of this till slip was 202.53 rand, and there they tell us the VAT amount 26.42 rand, that's included in that 202.53 rand. And then just for interest's sake, they said there were no zero rated items. So if I perhaps bought bread or milk, any of the items that do not attach or don't have any VAT attached to them, it would have been listed here. But in this case, all the items that were bought did have VAT included in the pricing. So this is an example of a till slip, cash slip, and then our source document will be the cash register roll. That's the part that stays inside the till after we've given the till slip or the cash slip to the customer. Right, then we move on to a tax invoice or a cash invoice. This is an example for you, and then there's one that no, I don't think there's an activity for the tax invoice or the cash invoice. We're just going to have a look at that. Once again, this is used in businesses where there's perhaps not a lot of transactions taking place on a daily basis, and basically for each and every customer who comes in, the business will issue or complete a cash invoice for that specific transaction. So if we quickly run through this for this example, Middelburg Sports Wholesalers, that's the name of the business. I can see they registered for VAT, so they charge VAT, and here is the postal address. The date on this invoice was on the 15th of June 2019. We can see it's a tax invoice and also the number. Now that's very important again for recording purposes. The client in this case was G Sport, and we can see here they've got an option to tick what was the payment method. This business paid with a check. Very ancient way of paying nowadays, but anyway, checks are still accepted as legal tender in South Africa. Okay, so here, what can we see on the tax invoice, the cash invoice? This business makes use of codes for the items or products that they sell. There's the description, what have they sold to this client, how many of each of these items have they sold. Now I can see that this business lists their selling prices exclusive of VAT. There you can see VAT excluded, and here at the bottom we can see that they've added it on. So how do you get your total price? In this case, you say 20 times 56 rand, that will give you 1120, and the same for the running shoes, 14 times 350 gives you 4,900. Then we get a subtotal by adding 1120 plus 4900. That gives us 6020. This business then has added to the VAT of 15%. How do we get that? We would say 6020 times 15 divided by 100, and that will give you the 903. So it's the 15% of 6020 that we work out. The final amount is then 6020 plus 903, and then we get 6923, and that is also the amount that G Sport would have written on the check that they issued to Middelburg Sports Wholesalers. Obviously, there shouldn't be any change if these two amounts are the same. So this is an example of a tax invoice or cash invoice in this case. Once again, the original invoice, the top one, will go to the client. The duplicate one we will keep in our business for record keeping purposes. As I've mentioned before, remember these things can also be digitalized, computerized, and printed out, not necessarily filled in by hand. Good. If we move to the next example, this is where we go. I'm going to show you a bank deposit slip. Now, once again, I don't know who of you, when last any of you have been in a bank, but I try and avoid it as far as I possibly can. Now, when I was little younger, it was actually such a treat to go into the bank with my parents. Why? Because they had these stations, like small little desks and chairs all over the bank, and then there were lots of different slips and documents for. If you wanted to withdraw money, you filled in this document, this slip. If you wanted to deposit money, you used this one. If you wanted to ask for a statement, you filled in this document. Nowadays, all of these things have fallen away. You literally go and stand in one queue, you get to the till, you tell, or the teller, you tell the cashier or assistant what you want to do, and they basically do everything on the computer. So this feels a little bit ancient to me to explain it to you, but it's still good to know that you can go into the bank and deposit money. We also seem to find that, look, in smaller businesses, I think cash still plays a big role, but in many of our big businesses, they've almost done away with cash at all. Most payments are done electronically via banking apps or EFTs. So many of these things that I'm explaining to you now and discussing with you now, we don't really see happening that often anymore, but it's still good to know, and we still learn the concept and the theory behind that. All right, so let's say you have a business and you had people coming in making use of your services. They paid you cash, you have it in the store, and now you want to go and deposit it into your business's bank account. If we have a very ancient a person with still a checkbook on them, and they paid you for your services with a check, you can also take that check to the bank to go and deposit. If you go to your notes, that will now be activity 3 for the bank deposit slip. Once again, I'll complete this one with you so that you can see how it works, and then activity 4 you can try on your own. So I'm somewhere going to just draw one there to start off with. It says there by activity 3, you are Lerato Matulwe and you are the owner of your own business, Lerato's Hair Salon. Complete a bank deposit slip on the 1st of February 2020. To show the following information. Right, now there's 2 bullets there. Firstly, you issued your own personal check to the value of 15,000 Rand as your capital contribution. Your personal check account is at ABSA and the branch is in Waverley. And then you also gave an additional 2,000 Rand. We'll get to that now. So we have to complete this deposit slip on the 1st of February 2020. And you must now imagine that you are Lerato Matulwe. So there's the date, the 1st of February 2020, right? So who are we crediting? This means we need to tell the bank, and by the way, we are banking, or Lerato's got her business's bank account at Corner Bank. That's the name of the bank that she's banking with. Now we need to tell Corner Bank into whose account must we or must they put this money, and obviously that's very important. What's her business's name? Lerato's Hair Salon. Okay, so this is where Corner Bank must put this money into Lerato's Hair Salon's bank account. All right. Now, people, very important, we need to tell the bank what is this business's bank account's number with Corner Bank. And it's there just a little bit to the bottom. You can see it there. I'm going to type it in 670288927. That is the hair salon's bank account number. And then we need to tell them what is the branch. Once again, grade 8s, every bank might have its own or unique deposit slip. This is just a generic one, so you have to look out for what information they ask on that specific deposit slip. Okay. So the branch, her account is held at the Silverton branch of Corner Bank. Good. Silverton. Right. Then now okay, so Lerato gave her own, you as Lerato gave your own personal check to the value of 50,000 Rand. Good. So now we need to put this in. Now, people, you'll see over here notes, nickel and bronze. This is used for any cash money that we are depositing into this account. So we'll use that just now. This part is where we record any information if we received checks from clients, or in this case the owner, then we're going to put it here. Now, name of drawer, that means who is the person who issued this check. Now, we said you are Lerato Matulwe, so this is the name of the drawer, Lerato Matulwe. Right. And then they gave us the information that your personal bank account is held with ABSA, and that branch is held at Waverley. Right, so you fill that in. Waverley. Great. Good. And what was the amount that you gave as your capital contribution? That was 15,000 Rand. So you record this in the Rand column. If you want to, you can also just put the zeros there so that there's less chance for any fraud to take place. Okay, so that is then how we record it when somebody gives us a check to go and deposit into our business's bank account. Then we said bullet number 2, you also gave an additional 2,000 Rand. 1,900 was in notes, and the rest, and 100 Rand, was in 5 Rand coins. So by notes, we're going to write 1,900 Rand. Good. And by nickel, we're going to write 100 Rand, because that is for the 5 Rands. So let's do that. So you enter that. Let's just copy the zeros to make it complete. Good. So now we've entered all the money and checks that we've received. Over here, this subtotal is for the cash that we received. So 1,900 plus 100 is then the 2,000. So you fill that in. There's the 2,000. Let's just do the zeros. You can also do a dash. I actually prefer to do dashes instead of the 00. It takes up a lot of time. Good. Then we need to indicate what is the final total for this bank deposit slip. And that is then the 2,000 Rand cash that we deposit plus the 15,000 Rand check. So then our total that we are depositing into the business's bank account is then 17,000 Rand. Good, happy with that. So then right at the bottom, there you need to indicate who, can you believe that now? Who paid this money in. That is just for reference purposes. If at some stage there's a query, then we know who paid it in. You can write, obviously, you are Lerato Matulwe, so it must be Lerato Matulwe, or just sign there on behalf of Lerato Matulwe, her signature, and then a contact number. So let's just do this. Is there a number missing? Okay, there's a contact number. Doesn't matter really, any contact number should be fine. Right, and this is then how you complete a bank deposit slip. One, now very interesting, when you go to the bank, and if it was still like many years ago, where you also have had the top part and the bottom part. In fact, most banks have them in triplicate. You will not, because if you go to the bank, you are actually the client. You do not get the original one. The bank keeps the original one because that's obviously the one that's the most clear of the two documents, but you will keep the duplicate bank deposit slip that you can take back to your store. Right, so this is our bank deposit slip. If you look on your notes, there's another one that you can complete. That's activity 4 for Kanya electricians. So you can see if you can manage with that. There will also be a memo that I will hand out so that you can see if you've managed to do this correctly. Right, now we move on to a check. As I've mentioned before, this is like really, really ancient. I've asked around on Facebook the other night if people still have their checkbooks, and lo and behold, there were a few people, but that nobody uses it anymore. In my classroom, which I'm not allowed to go to at the moment, and can't access really, I have a checkbook there, and I think the last time a check was issued was in April 2002. Now that is like 18 years ago. So it just shows that how old the use of checkbooks and a little bit outdated, not little bit, way outdated the use of checkbooks and checks is, but we are still learning the principles of issuing a check. We know that nowadays payments, as I've mentioned before, are mostly done via EFT. It's just much more convenient and obviously safer as well. Okay, but let's have a look at a check. And many of you have not seen one before, so this is my best go at it to explain this to you. Now, if we look at a check, so this whole thing normally came into a checkbook. And then you'll see this part is called the check counterfoil, and the big part here is the actual check. Now, in most checkbooks, this part over here is perforated. So it means you can literally tear out the check, and then the check counterfoil stays behind in the checkbook. Now, as a business owner or as a business, we will then use the checks to make payment to our suppliers, to the municipality, buying stock, etc., etc. So we will issue a check, tear that out of the checkbook, and present that for payment. So what will be left in our checkbook? It's only the check counterfoil. So with this whole check thing, the check counterfoil will be our source document. Because why? By the time we record our transactions in our journals, and this one will obviously be recorded in the cash payments journal, which we'll do in the next unit, we won't have the check anymore. That will be with the business or the person to whom we paid or from whom we bought. So it's very important that if you ever had to fill in a check and your checkbook, that it's important that your check counterfoil is filled in completely, because that will be all that's left for you to record your transactions from. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's first start with a few interesting things. You will see, as with any document in the business, each check has its own unique check number. Now you can see that on the part that will stay in the checkbook, the check counterfoil, there is a check number 001. And again, different banks have different formats. So the 001 could have be printed here or over here, but it should be somewhere on the check counterfoil. So 001. Then if you go to the top of your check, it's normally indicated there as well, the unique number of the check, and in most cases even for a third time. Why were they so peculiar with checks? Because people, unfortunately, lots of fraud took place with the issuing of checks. And I think that's also a reason why it was actually sort of phased out. Because we had so many fraudulent transactions. Okay, so in this one, this first code here once again repeats the check number. So if you were to receive a check from somebody, it was always a good idea to go and check for some of these security measures to make sure that this check has not been tampered with. Good. Then you also get the branch code. So now if this is your business, let's say Lebopa Taxi Services, you have your account with Corner Bank, then this indicates with which branch of Corner Bank is your account held. And once again, you can see with these codes at the bottom, normally in the middle, we have the branch code repeated. Then the drawer or the account holder's account number must also be indicated on the check. Okay, so you can see there's quite a bit of codes visible on a check. So let's start here at the top now. First of all, the name of the bank where our business holds our bank account is called the drawee, the drawer's bank. Now, our business is called the drawer. The account holder is called the drawer. So the name of the bank where we have our bank account is called the drawee. Good. Now, I'll get to this and I'll get to that. Obviously, the date on which you issue the check, you have to fill that in there. And very importantly, make sure that the same date is entered on your check counterfoil. Then over here where it says pay, there we write the name of the business or person to whom we are issuing the check. In this case, we bought stationery from Similani Stationers. Lebopa Taxi Services bought stationery from Similani Stationers. Can you see over here by the check counterfoil? We also wrote to whom that we issue the check. Good. Then the amount that we bought for or that we need to pay, we write on the check. And I actually prefer to do the following, or I preferred to do that many, many years ago, is to actually go and make a little dash after the amount, so that there is no way that somebody can just come and quickly add a few zeros and change something here. Now, once again, when you as a business received checks, it was very important for you to check that what amount is written in numbers corresponds with what is written in words. You can really also make a dash there as well. For safety purposes, so that nobody can come, and I tell you, people did, hey? You get very, very clever fraudsters out there, and they manage to change things on check. So you can even do that to make it more safe. All right. Then on the check counterfoil side, you need to indicate what you paid or bought. So there we said stationery, because this information is important for when we go and record the transaction from the check counterfoil. Once again, the amount that we wrote there and corresponds with what we wrote in words must also be written on the check counterfoil, and these must obviously always be the same. Now, when we get to making a check safe, I've already mentioned that lots of fraud took place with the issuing and the use of checks, but there were a few ways of making it a bit safer. There are a few ways in which we can make a check a bit safer. First of all, you always do this. You cross out the words all bearer. You can see there's a little line crossed over the word. Now, what does this mean? I can write over here, all right, Corner Bank, my bank, must take 500 Rand out of my bank account and pay it out or pay it into Simelane Stationer's bank account. If I do not cross out this or bearer, it means or to anybody who is presenting that check to their bank. So by crossing out or bearer, it means only Simelane Stationers can get this money from my bank. All right. Then also, by writing this across the check, not transferable, it means Simelane Stationers can't go and say, okay, we now need to pay another client of ours and we're going to transfer this check to them and they can use it to get money, or the money must be paid to them. It cannot be transferred to another or a third person if you indicate this on the check. Right, what else do we need to have a look at? At the bottom, obviously, the person who are who have the legal authority, the account holder, must sign the check. And if the bank has got any doubts, they can go and look up the original signature that was used to open the account. So each and every check must be signed. I hope I've covered everything here now. If you go to your notes, there's an activity 5 with Chuma car rentals, where there's 2 payments that you need to complete the checks for, so that you can see if you can manage to complete a check on behalf of a business. Right, if we move on, the next document that we're quickly going to have a look at is a bank statement. Now, if you have a business, and even for your personal finances, if you have a bank account, at the end of each month, the bank normally sends you a statement. Many years ago, businesses and people received, their private individuals received their bank statement via the post office, via normal mail. Nowadays, in most cases, it's either emailed to you, or you can go onto your internet banking or banking app and basically just download your bank statement. It's usually done from the first of the month till the end of the month, so for a 30-day period. But you know, if you go to an ATM nowadays, you can put in your card and you can ask, you want a bank statement for the last 7 days or 14 days, or you can specify the time. But usually for business purposes, we draw it on a month basis, because we are comparing what the bank says happened in our bank account to what we say we have in the business's books. All right, so just a couple of things on the bank statement. First of all, in this example, this bank's name is Big Bucks Bank, and it tells us it's this owner or person holds his account at the Scottsboro branch of Big Bucks Bank. The account holder, the client of the bank, is Mr. V. Marley, and there's his contact details, address details. We can see, yes, the date on which the bank statement was issued or printed. They even sometimes tell us what number, so how many bank statements has been issued for this client. So this tells us this client has had his account with this bank for almost 2 years, 23 months, or almost 2 years. Then important, the bank account number of the client, and then obviously all transactions that took place during the month will be reflecting on the bank statement. Now, first of all, this means this balance B/F, BF, that stands for brought forward. So it means on the 1st of June of that year, when the first of the month, Mr. Marley had 8,000 Rand in his bank account before any transactions took place. All right, then there's a couple of transactions that happened this month. The ones with the asterisks, those are all service fees or bank charges that the bank is charging Mr. Marley in order to manage his account on his behalf. So there's a service fee, a cash deposit fee. So obviously cash has been deposited into his bank account, and then for internet banking, they also charged him. And usually it says somewhere on the bank statement that VAT is included in those amounts. We all know that nowadays VAT is 15%. Now, important for you to know, and when we start with our ledgers, you're going to say to me, ma'am, but you said something different when we did the bank statement, and I will get back to that. But if you are a client of the bank's holding your money. Anything that makes your money more. So any deposits that you make of money into your business's bank account, those amounts will be recorded on the credit side, or in the credit column. It says credits here. Anything that makes the money in your account less, so any payments out of your account or charges on your account will be recorded in the bank's debit column. So you can see here, he started off with 8,000, then there was a service fee of 19 Rand 55. So can you see that the balance of his bank account, the money in his bank, decreased? Then there was another a charge or payment, 5 Rand, so it became even less. But then there was a deposit of 1920. So can you see now it increased a bit? So any debits on the bank statement will decrease the bank's or the client's balance, and any credits will increase the client's balance. We will never ask you to draw up a bank statement well, never, because it will come from the bank, but we might ask you to interpret some information on the bank statement. Okay. So with the last one, that's then activity 6 that you have on your notes. There is just what you will see, and there are some questions that you can then answer to test if you can interpret this bank statement that was given to you. Right, and that's basically our discussion on source documents. So let's just quickly recap. We had a receipt, and we said when we receive money, we can issue a receipt. The client gets the original one. We as the business keep the duplicate one as our source document. Then we looked at till slips, and we said the customer gets the slip that little machine spits out, and the cash register roll that stays inside the till, the printer that's attached to the till. That will be our source document. We also looked at invoices, cash invoices. We said that's for businesses that usually have a very few transactions on a daily or a monthly basis. So when money is received, you can also issue a cash invoice. We looked at depositing money into our business's bank account by making use of a bank deposit slip. Remember, we said in the banking environment, the bank will keep the original one. Our source document will be the duplicate bank deposit slip. Then we looked at invoices, at checks. We said very ancient, but it's still accepted as legal tender, and therefore we learned how to complete the check, and we spoke about the various features that you have to look at to make sure that this check is actually true and correct, and what measures you can put into place in order to keep a check safe. We also discussed the fact that in many cases nowadays we use EFTs via our internet banking or banking apps. And then the last document that we looked at was the bank statement, and that's what we receive from our bank in order to check what do we have in our business's books with regards to money received and money paid out of our bank account, and what does the bank say. Just for interest sake, when you get to grade 10, 11, and 12, you do a lot of bank reconciliation to compare those with one another to make sure that all the information is correct. Right, grade 8, so we'll talk again about the next topic in a while, but hopefully this helped you to understand and to complete your source document.